they are then going to offer the solution to. The systems that people use to pay for the roads in London are too confusing, so we're going to give you this one nice and simple system for your benefit, for the greater good. It absolutely isn't. What they're saying is that new technologies and changing public attitudes are presenting an opportunity to replace the current patchwork of road user charging schemes with a more sophisticated system that captures the true cost of journeys. So then they are going to give us some design principles that form the basis of a scheme, which the report calls City Move. Capital letters, City Move. Remember this is what the new scheme is going to be called. They are proposing a distance-based scheme, charged by the mile, basically, with charges set in advance and...
Listening to Jeff Buys Cars talk about a few things. I got cut off on the last one while I was talking over him. Blue filter, the red filter on the camera outside. This is going to be a remaster while we listen to this. And he's got a lot of interesting things to say, so let's listen to Jeff.
And varying according to vehicle characteristics and recently observed local congestion and pollution levels at any given time. So the type of car that you drive and where you're driving is going to dictate how much it costs. So you might be able to drive your old 2.5 litre diesel Volvo through a highly populated area, but you'll pay more for it. A single City Move London transport platform that allows users to compare, plan and pay for journeys across a wide range of modes, proactively suggests alternatives and offers additional services. So they're saying that this new City Move platform will allow you to compare, plan and pay for journeys across a range of modes. So in point 2, we're no longer just talking about cars. And this is interesting because this continues throughout. Point 3, an account, presumably a City Move account on your phone, will be linked to the individual, not the vehicle, enabling a fairer approach to charging, including targeted discounts and options to split the charge between passengers. You will have your own City Move account where you'll be able to pay for your own movements around the city. I think you can see where this is going. Charging levels will be set against specified objectives, and you can see I've highlighted that with a question mark, because you can say the objectives are specified, but where are they specified and will they change? Because I suspect they will. With the revenue spent on London's roads, public transport and associated environmental and public realm measures. So they're saying the charging levels for this new scheme will be set by specified objectives. And if, for example, the specified objective was to change to, I don't know, net zero by 2030, or keeping people within a 15-minute city, then the charges will be changed accordingly. A website and smartphone app for user registration, journey planning and payment, satellite navigation for journey verification, and roadside cameras for added enforcement. And I've highlighted that last sentence with the tag terrifying. So what they're saying, oh no, I've got 2 more points. They also say in point 6 that they would have a level of service delay repay guarantee, so you'd get paid back if your journey took longer than it should. And then point 7 is possibly the most scary before I summarise all of this, a system of mobility credits to promote uptake of the app and encourage healthier and greener ways of moving around. And finally, there'll be a dedicated business account where you can book cheaper off-peak delivery slots. So what we're proposing in those 8 points is a scheme that charges you by the mile for the amount of distance covered that is not necessarily to do with movements in a car, which is linked to you as an individual, charged based around specific but very vague objectives, where you have to verify your journey on an app which is monitored by roadside cameras for enforcement and based on a system of mobility credits. Can you see where this is going? Do you remember the digital ID consultation that's currently ongoing? Imagine when your digital ID is linked to your City Move account. So you use your digital ID to use your central bank digital currency to buy your digital mobility credits to allow you to move around your city. I can't think why the conspiracy theorists are all getting their knickers in a knot over this. And you can see there, next to where it says mobility credits, I've simply written 1984. So the new, smarter and comprehensive scheme would offer substantial benefits for the city and for individual users. Brackets for nefarious regimes wanting to keep tabs and prevent the movement of the people that they're overruling. It says it replaces a multitude of charges with a single system that is easy to understand and use. And next to easy to understand and use, you can see I've written, so is a cage. It tackles both congestion and pollution at the same time. The congestion that is being caused by the fact that they're putting planters on the streets instead of letting the roads flow freely, and the pollution that they don't have the evidence to prove that it is actually increased, because all the scientists seem to say that it's decreased, apart from on the tube where it's terrible, which is where they want everybody to go. And it will integrate with additional driver services. I don't know what additional driver services they mean, but I can't imagine it's going to be good. Yeah, so they say that this new scheme is simpler, smarter, fairer, more efficient, healthier and greener. So I have noted here that it says under fairer, it reflects the impact of individual journeys. The impact of individual journeys. Do you remember in one of my other videos when I was discussing necessary journeys? So not only now are you going to have to justify that your journey is necessary, you're going to have to understand the impact of your unnecessary journey to see Granny 4 times a week. Do you really need to see her 4 times a week? Could you only see her twice? Can you afford to see her 4 times a week with your mobility credits? Do you have enough mobility credits to go and see your Granny twice? Yeah, so the impact of the individual journeys includes the economic costs and the environmental damage. Again, sketchy science on that one. It ensures that everyone that contributes to congestion and pollution pays, rather than those within the narrow boundary of current schemes. By narrow boundary of current schemes, what they mean is not just cars. This is no longer about just cars. This is about you and your bike. This is about you and your tractor. This is about you and your electric scooter. This is about you and your horse.
Green.
All of you need to now use the same app to be tracked by the same cameras, to pay the same charges as those of us who own cars. It's about movement. And at the end there it says, allows a more targeted and equitable approach to charging. And I've highlighted the word equitable, and once again I've written balls. For all Londoners and the city as a whole, the scheme would be more efficient, healthier, greener, and under that I've just written greenwashing, and then I've highlighted it as well. So, the report elaborates the features of a scheme based on design principles set out that can deliver these benefits. That doesn't make any sense, but what it means is the report calls on the Mayor of London to do these things. Now, bearing in mind this report was written in 2019, but as I said, I believe that the London Assembly is going to strongly base everything they do next on this, who were financed by C40 Cities and who are now calling on the London Mayor. So C40 Cities, which is basically Sadiq Khan, has paid for this report, and this report is calling on Sadiq Khan to do something. We're going round in circles here. So they're calling on Sadiq Khan to develop a single distance-based road user charging scheme to replace all existing schemes before the end of his 2024 mayoral term. Well, it certainly looks like he's trying to do that. To prepare for implementation by developing a customer platform, upgrading the required GPS and mobile network, and conducting a pilot test. How much CO2 and harm does it cause to upgrade the mobile network to be able to do all this? They are calling on Sadiq to introduce the user platform across London from the beginning to maximise the number of drivers benefiting from the scheme's smart features and incentives, while gradually extending the charging regime, starting with areas of high demand and poor air quality. And I've written there the tube. The tube is poor air quality, so focus on that. But they're talking about drivers benefiting from this scheme whilst also referring to it as a regime. Where else do you hear the word regime? It's usually followed by tyranny. Number 4, they want to call on the mayor to collaborate with other cities across England to introduce elements of the scheme in the implementation of clean air zones to improve overall air quality and meet health objectives. And once again, I've written balls. They want to call on him to work with the government to replace existing vehicle and fuel taxes with a national distance-based system, while enabling towns and cities to implement complementary schemes that tackle local congestion and pollution. I'll translate that. We want to get rid of road tax, we want to get rid of fuel tax, we want to instead charge everybody by the mile and allow towns and cities to also implement on top of that their own bizarre charging systems based on whatever.
Just so you know, China's not just China, but China's a big one who owns a lot of our roads. They already own a lot of our toll roads, and there's a big takedown that's happening. It's been happening for the last 50 years. Transfer of power from the United States over to China first, and then Russia second. China's going to be the new leading world power. Russia's going to be second in line. United States is going to divide. United Kingdom, same thing. You guys already divided several times over. Now with the Brexit shit that you guys just did and everything too, then it's even more division. So been divided in every which way. But United States is about to show our division as well very soon by 24.
Whatever they like. The report then goes on to discuss current schemes and things that are ongoing, and you can read it all. It's in the links. It's quite a long and convoluted PDF. But the next bit I've highlighted is the section on a new user platform. So this is talking about what it's going to be. And as we know, it's going to be an app on your phone which will be connected to your digital ID. The consultation for that ends very soon, and that's going to be in place by December 2023. So this new user platform, they want you to register for a personal travel account. Personal travel account. Let those words sink in. Have you registered for your personal travel account? Make sure you register for your personal travel account by the 1st of January 2024, or you won't be able to go anywhere. So it's going to link Oyster, contactless, and the driver details. So DVLA are in on this as well. They want you to explore journey options, compare the costs and benefits, time, environmental, health, money, across the full range of modes. Private car, car club, car sharing, ride hailing, bus, tube, train, bike, hire, cycling, walking. Do you see what I mean? That this is no longer just about cars. This is you having an app on your phone to allow you to go anywhere. They want you to be able to pay for your journeys across the full range of modes. So you're not just paying.
And like I was saying in the last video, they've already implemented that. That's been around a long time. Stop and frisk, right? Stop and frisk, safety first, all that shit. All these really bad laws. Again, it goes back to the wealthy zombie slaves compared to the poor zombie slaves. When these arrests take place, even if they do, and they usually don't, but they don't put handcuffs on the wealthy, and that's not to make a big deal out of just only that, because it's just one example of many, many examples. But if they're going to arrest somebody that works in the bank, okay, they or one of these business owners, a corporate big shot, whoever, if they're going to take one of them out, first of all, they contact their attorney. Their attorneys contact the DA, and they talk it out, work it out, all these kind of things. Then he's brought in by his attorney, not by 6 armed officers that are armed to the teeth, who are going to handcuff your hands and feet in front of your family, lock you down, embarrass you, take away your pride over something very minor compared to what the banker was being charged with, right? It's never the same for the poor guy or the rich guy. It's totally fucked, and the 7.8 billion zombies just keep on letting it happen. And then how bad does it get? I mean, they were doing this to, black humans had it really tough in America as far as that one incident goes. As far as that goes, it's the stop and frisk thing that I'm talking about. So you had, I don't want to guess numbers though. They said there's 380 million in America. Whites are still 60% or whatever it is of the population. So therefore 60% of those white people, why did they not stand up and say, look, I maybe not going through this kind of treatment, but I can imagine how it must fucking feel every time you leave your house. These guys are getting fucked. We're not going to let this stop and frisk shit happen. And then if they don't have their ID on it, all of a sudden on them, all of a sudden you got a new offense. Now that's a new offense. Oh, you don't have your ID on you. We're going to have to charge you with that for not having your ID. I mean, it's just fucking ridiculous. And then, and in certain neighborhoods, they start these laws in certain neighborhoods, and nobody talks about it, nobody bitches about it, nobody says nothing about it. Then all of a sudden, when it does finally reach, I'm only using difference of colors, and a minute ago I was talking poverty level compared to the rich. Now I'm talking skin color. So the 60% of the white population should have stood up when we started doing it in black neighborhoods, but we didn't. Then all of a sudden, the rules for everybody now. And then now they're standing up and trying to bitch, but not only a few of them. So out of the 60% of the white people, they won't even fight for their own freedom. They won't even fight. They won't even fight for themselves to not, and their children and their families are all going into this next step of zombie slavism. And they won't do nothing about it. No one will look. No one wants to look. Fucked. Ridiculous.
Paying for your car or your tube through a variety of payment mechanisms, including prepay, pay-as-you-go, and monthly billing, and a chip in your arm. That's not in there. I added that bit in. They want you, the user, to be able to keep track of your journeys and payments, to analyse long-term usage, and calculate the costs and benefits of alternative ways of moving around. Let me just put that...
This video that we're looking at right now, this was a heavy Mineral Street day, and I was saying in a couple of videos how good the imagery is, and people were not understanding what I was talking about. But now that I put the other filter on, now you should be able to see, right, what I'm trying to show you. Because everything is so heavily pixeled in here. Great opportunity to look at the true creators, builders, the triangular shapes that are everywhere in here. I mean, they're everywhere. But the imagery is banging. The imagery is really good. You can see image within image within image. From the veil to the ground, it is this way. But I'm just running this through while I got Jeff playing in the background here.
Put that in brackets as to what this really means. We want to be able to keep track of your journeys and payments, to analyse your long-term usage, to calculate the costs and benefits that the system has of you being around, and to show you alternative ways of moving around, and also stop you from doing certain things when we don't want you to do them, like when you've been naughty on social media and said anti-government things. It's all there, between the lines. City Move would facilitate road user charging by enabling the user to enter their journey details in advance, so they know where you're going before you get there. And I know that's all on your phones, already, and all the rest of it. But City Move would also provide drivers and car owners with other related services, including signposting, automatic payment, bookable drop-off and pick-up bays. But it's important that now we are no longer car owners, we are car owners and drivers. So they're getting rid of car ownership in that as well. Now, the individual account will be multimodal, so instead of being
But we're not car owners. That's a lie. We have to go back to that lie. We have to go back to the other lies that were before our generations. The lies, because... And they're not really lies. It's us lying to ourselves. They don't lie to us and say, oh, when we get a title for our vehicle, Jeff, I'm talking to Jeff, but Richard also, because this is Richard's series. You guys go look at your titles. Go look at the deeds to your homes. Go look at the titles to your trailers, your campers. Go look at the warranties on all the things that are in your home. Look at them and look for them specific paragraphs. Probably going to be the smallest print on there, but then again, maybe not. You have no ownership of anything. You don't own your car. It's not even the bank that owns your car. Even the bank only holds a copy of your title. The owners of our vehicles are the manufacturers that build them. The corporations own everything. We own nothing. People are lying to themselves. It's been going on for a long, long time. So I get it, Jeff. You're right. This is all upsetting. But first of all, you already lost the battle. You got until December. The battle's already lost. So don't bother. Go back in time and get rid of all of it. Then, so all the cameras come down. Not just 4 cameras that some assholes clipped. Some agents went and clipped to try to make everybody look bad. No, no, no. Mandatory. We want it all down. We don't want no cameras. Shut them down. Just shut them down. Home cameras, same thing. Home cameras. They're tapped into them. They're watching every move we make. Everything. I'm going to tell you some stories about that in another series. I'm working on another series, and it's big time. It's every day. I just don't talk about it every day because people look at it as conspiracy nonsense and they don't believe it. But I have enough evidence on videos now, and building more every day, that they're constantly following me around. The agencies, constantly. They're always watching me, cameras, setting me up, and when they want me to know and be scared and worried, then they put a bunch of agents right in front of my eyes for long periods of time. And that's intimidation, it's distraction, it stops me from doing what I'm doing here, that kind of thing. And I'm not talking about the agents on YouTube, although they're part of it too, because their agencies are all connected as well. But I'm talking about right in your face, right in front of your face every day. Because they just got me again this morning too. And you know that they're working with locals and states because they're all working together. So there's a lot to talk about with the home security camera systems that you think you own because you purchased them. You don't own them. Whoever the manufacturer was owns them. And then Google owns your internet. You don't rent the internet and it's yours, and private and secure or any of those things. They're all in all of them. And that's how they're busting a lot of people with internet scams as well. So they'll let Jeffrey Epstein, they'll let him off. They'll let his girlfriend off. They'll let all the Clintons off. They'll let all these people off who were doing bad things to little kids. And they've been doing this for hundreds of years. They put it in the music. They made songs about it. You go back to the 60s, you had the Animals making the song about the boys' home that all the kids were being molested and being encouraged to be gay and all these different types of things. They made music about it. We bragged about it. We patted ourselves on the back and told ourselves that that music didn't mean that. It meant something else somehow. And it's ridiculous. All the subliminal messages that were in the music and the movies and the television and the school books and the curriculum and all this shit. It's unbelievable how bad it was. And we all went along with it. We all did it for way, way, way too long. But yet nowadays with the internet, they're putting shit on people's computers. Easy for them to do. They do it all the time. So if they want to put stuff on your computers and then arrest you for it, they have the laws now set up for it. So therefore, anybody can be arrested for anything that's on their computer. In other words, that's thought crime, right? So somebody could send you something that's pictures to entice you, right? Photographs. I won't be real specific, but you know what I'm getting at. So they can put these videos and pictures up that might entice somebody. And then once they're on the computer, they can go into a background somewhere and be saved, and it makes it look like you're the one saving it. They're doing this all over the place. I'm watching it happen. I don't have time to get into doing all the videos of it all, but I'm watching it happen. I'm watching a lot of probably good people. I don't know because, again, I don't have the time to investigate all of them. But I'm watching the crimes go down, and I'm watching the senators and governors all, backing these things and saying what bad people they are. Wait a minute. We're talking about thought crimes. We're talking about somebody that had something on their computer. We don't even know if it was put there. Because if you remember correctly, everybody, when the internet first started, they were doing that all the time, weird shit like that. It was before Bill Gates gave up Microsoft. After Bill Gates gave up Microsoft, it seemed like a lot of it went out of our vision. So in other words, all those pop-up screens and the extra shit, and all of a sudden you're watching something and five other pictures would pop out. You could be looking at cars, for example, and you have some people standing behind you, and you're looking at cars on Craigslist or something, and all of a sudden these windows start popping up of naked girls, let's say, for example, and you're like, what the fuck? I didn't, and every window that you open, all of a sudden, and you're like, wait a minute, this is not me. Even if it was, it's still an embarrassing moment and all that kind of shit, right? But those things don't happen anymore. You don't get those anymore. They stay in the background. They're hidden now from us. They don't even pop up on you anymore, but they're there. And they're being used against everyone. Then you used to have these computer crashes. The FBI is watching your computer and you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, I'm watching Japanese MILF porn. Why am I getting busted down for watching Japanese MILF porn? Oh, you mean these pictures that somebody keeps fucking sending to my computer that I keep deleting? And then sometimes you press on the delete button or the close out button and it gets bigger and the picture gets larger and you're like, what the fuck? And things aren't working right? Yeah, exactly. Because they're all set up to take out the zombie slave. They're not, the laws are not there to protect the zombie slave. They're there to hurt us.
Attached to a vehicle, it covers everything. The City Move platform could also enable the main user registering the journey to add passengers and give the option to split the charge. Either way, all passengers would still have the benefits of live updates on traffic conditions and public transport status updates for multimodal journeys. They're selling it so that we get traffic updates on our phone when really it's constant tracking and payment. In cases of non-payment, the vehicle owner would be charged. Abuse of the account could be prevented by smart security features such as two-step or fingerprint authentication. And I've written under that, Jesus Christ. This is 1984 on steroids. Orwell, couldn't have dreamt of this in his wildest dreams. Technology. The scheme will be delivered through 3 technological components: a website and smart app, satellite GPS-enabled smartphones or in-vehicle devices, and lightweight portable cameras for random checks. Does that sound terrifying? Let me put it this way. We're going to track your movement with a website and smartphone app. We're going to use your GPS-enabled smartphone or the device that's on board in your car, and we're going to use lightweight portable cameras for random checks to make sure...
Just like I'm explaining about the car, it's the same thing for bicycles. Now, I cannot prove that bicycles have chips in them. They might not. I've never even looked to see. But chips are in everything. And what I was saying about Biden building that chip factory and getting that chip factory going, those are tracking chip factories. That's all that's about. We're going to want our tracking chips more than anything else, because even used items are going to receive tracking chips for absolutely everything. So what if chips are cheaply made right here in America and they start going into bicycles, motorcycles, you name it, right? Tracking chips and everything, because that's what they're doing. They've been doing it for a long, long time. And then the whole idea of these tracking chips to be coming to America and to be made here is because we're going to be at war with China. So this war with China, and you're going to be at war with someone who owns a good portion of your national debt. They own a good portion of your roads. They own a small portion, but a decent size amount of your farmlands. They own most of your internet. They own all of your items that you buy on a regular basis. Walmart, Kmart, right? Dollar store, all these things, all those items all come from China. So when we have our major shutdown, we've already shut down our agriculture. We've been doing that over the last 50 years. We have totally fucked ourselves, but it's not happening now. It's already happened several times over, and we're not waking up to it still. We're still arguing that some of these bad things are going to happen someday when really they all already happened. We missed it.
Sure, you're not going where you shouldn't be going on a time when you shouldn't be going there because you've used all your mobility credits. Checkpoints. It's checkpoints again. All new cars now come with sat-nav integrated as standard, and 85% of UK adults now own a smartphone. I know I'm filming on a smartphone. I know you're probably watching on a smartphone. But I've written there, sell, buy old tech. You can't track my Volvo, and if I go and use a Nokia brick phone, then that limits the ability of them to track wherever I am. So I think we're moving to a stage where, in order to rebel, we're just going to have to cut ourselves off completely.
Yes.
Right, my last bit on this, because I'm aware this video has been quite long, mobility credits. The multimodal user platform.
Yes, that's true. We do have to cut ourselves off from the Internet of Things. But that's why I'm telling you guys, anybody that's listening, I'm trying to get through to you that the true creator's energy is a better energy to use than the fake ass human shit. Even when we're talking just electricity alone, we're using 110 and high voltage electricity. It was never necessary. It was never necessary. That's what I'm telling you guys about going back in time and going back to what our great grandparents should have put a stop to, but they didn't. Our eyes are open now. We can see it all now. So therefore, we can put a stop to all of those things. Then we're not going to be paying $400 to $600 a month electric bills because we won't need the high voltage electricity to even power anything because it's unnecessary. We had all these debates, arguments back and forth over the years, and we were dumbed down. We were, they call it intelligence, but it's the opposite of that. We were educated into believing these lies, and now I'm showing you the true creator's work. I'm showing you guys the system. You can all go look at it. Then once you look at it, we're not going to take it from here and move forward. We're going to have to go back in time and fix everything that our ancestors had fucked up on us and take it from there. And then everything else will all fall into place and everything will be beautiful. No more fucking slavery for anybody. There's just so many details that I have to get into, and it will be a 200 to 300 part series, so I will get into a lot of it. I'm dying to jump around on a lot of different things, but I'm going to have to write them down this time on a pad and try to be a little more in line with things as I'm speaking about them. Because right now, like, I'm tempted to jump back over to racial issues and shit like that. I'm tempted to point out the transgender thing, but I have to wait for Richard's videos. When he starts talking about them, that's my chance to jump in. I don't want to, Jeff the car guy's on here talking about vehicles and cars. I don't want to jump around on all those things, even though I'm very tempted, because in the back of my mind I want to run off and ramble on about a lot of these things that have happened. But I'll refrain. Let's finish up, Jeff.
One could also create a system of mobility credits, credit that can be used to pay for a number of different travel options. They can be used to reward certain choices or to encourage changes in travel behaviour. So I've written there, psychological warfare and treated like children. That is what this is. If you're going to be rewarded for certain behaviours, if you're going to be coerced into acting a certain way, you are being treated like a child using psychological warfare tactics. Where have we seen that in the last couple of years? I don't know, actually.
Right, so when they told us we had to get an inspection sticker on our vehicle every year in order to make sure that our cars were safe, we didn't all get together and say, "What, are you out of your fucking mind? I'm not fucking gonna go get it. My car's fine to drive, you know?" Right? But you got to go get an inspection sticker, and then it has to pass an emissions test. Well, you let that slide, right, Jeff, Richard, and Jeff? We let that all slide and said, okay, yeah, so we're going to hook something up to the exhaust pipe, and then depending on if it passes your test or not for carbons, then I'm not going to be allowed an inspection sticker, and my car's registration will be canceled if I don't do hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars in repairs to my vehicle. If I do it, we all let it happen. That was acceptable. That was okay for some reason. We let this happen. We all let this get this bad because we never stood up to any of the other things. All the tyranny has been coming down for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and we take it every fucking time. So just a few of you standing up now, I'm glad you are. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad that you are, but it's never going to be enough to change things. What I'm showing you, if you take 10 minutes out of your day here and there and you go look at the true creator's work and you look at the system, see it for what it is, then you don't have to go along with any of these lies anymore. But you have to let everyone's eyes rest upon the true creator's work. You have to see the true creator for yourselves in order for this to happen. Otherwise, we continue the slavery. It just keeps going on. It's not anything new. It's not new tyranny. It's the same old shit.
Clapping, safe and effective, protect yourselves and others. Doesn't matter. As the system of mobility credits becomes established, it could encourage people to. So what they want to do is they want people to register for the account. They want to promote take-up of the app by using these systems I just said. They want you to choose public transport, walking, cycling, or mixed modes, and they want you to give up your car or scrap an older, more polluting vehicle. As the system of mobility credits becomes established, it could also be used by public authorities to promote active travel. For example, GPs could offer credits to patients who meet set walking and cycling targets. Now, many years ago, I read a book called Agenda 21. It was written by a chap called Glenn Beck. Now, I know he is a wealthy person with various vested interests, but in his book, we were living in a
Yeah, I don't know why Glenn Beck got all the credit for Agenda 21, because United Nations was dropping their complete Agenda 21 packages, a couple hundred pages long, and they dropped them years before. They dropped them in 2009, 2010, somewhere around there. And that was the first that we seen of it. We had already been hearing of it, but they dropped them, and then they pulled them back, and like within 6 months to a year, they took them all down and said that it was fake, and that it wasn't from them. And then in that Agenda 21, I'm sure it's the same Agenda 21 that Glenn Beck is writing about, but I don't know why he's getting the credit for exposing Agenda 21, because the United Nations exposed themselves. The European Union, same thing. The United Nations and the European Union had the same agenda. And after we passed, as we started approaching 21, then they came out with their new agendas, and they did the same thing. The United Nations leaked it, not Glenn Beck, not some reporter or news guy. It was the United Nations themselves. They leak it. They let it leak for about 6 months to a year. Enough people get copies of it and get their hands on it so that they can then pull it and say, oh no, that was some bullshit. And they did the same thing with Agenda 2030, Agenda 2033, and then they even have an Agenda 2050. So these agendas are already been out there. These are United Nations intentions for the zombie slaves. And so I don't know why he's giving the guy, because this is like the third person I heard claim that Glenn Beck is the one who told us about Agenda 21.
Dystopian nightmare where you essentially lived in a small shed within a gated compound that was watched by agents of some nefarious government, and you did not get your food unless you did your certain allocated amount of exercise by walking on a treadmill. They're laying out the groundwork for that here. So it goes on and it concludes, and it basically says this new system will be simpler, smarter, fairer, more efficient, healthier, and greener. And next to that, I've written, it's hard to argue, because all of these consultations.
As a matter of fact, in the United Nations version of Agenda 21, I don't know what Glenn Beck version is, but one of the things in the United Nations version of Agenda 21 is the monetary system collapsing. That's part of it. And when it comes to the mineral streets, what they call geoengineering, and they call it sky seeding, cloud seeding, is also worded in their papers. So why is Glenn Beck don't talk about that? I don't know. Of all the people that I've heard talk about Glenn Beck's book, I never hear him talking about cloud seeding. Okay, so in the United Nations version of cloud seeding and geoengineering, they claim that they're doing it because they're trying to prevent global warming, and that it's a part of the system that they can't tell anybody about because people don't realize how quickly the earth is warming. And they got all kinds of heliocentric bullshit stories and lies that back it up, which none of them are real or true or even attempt to be true. They just bunch of words that don't mean anything. They're full of shit. So yeah, it's funny, when all these reporters and people that write books and stuff like that, when he writes a book about Agenda 21, but he doesn't talk about the mineral streets that I'm watching fly over, Jeff's right shoulder as he's making this video. No one sees them.
Conversations, as we well know, are deliberately set up to be hard to argue. So when you actually sit down and read their suggested questions, you go, oh yeah, that would make sense. That would be easier. But you've got to see the nefarious motives that are there between the lines. So we have to respond to this consultation. We have until the 10th of March to do so. You can do that by answering the 4 key questions, which are, I'll remind you, does the current system need changing? Could a smarter road system be better? How might the charges for driving in London be varied by different types of journeys? And what strategies and targets could smarter road use charging support? So the strategies and targets that they want you to say this is going to report are set by the C40 cities who are financing this work and pushing it through via Sadiq Khan, who's the mayor of London. And the C40 cities are financed by a whole load of bad people and working to agendas that we didn't vote for. They're asking you in the consultation to agree that this new system is going to meet goals that you never agreed to have. Get your evidence in by the 10th of March. Send it to scrutiny.
But that's the case with everything, though, Jeff. Everything. So why did our grandparents not stand up at the time that they wanted to start the Federal Reserve? Why didn't they stand up together and say, are you out of your fucking minds? You think you're going to take 3 months of our pay out of our life every year? No fucking way. So, when you break it down into thirds and you realize that a third of your paycheck is being taken and given and being paid out for false wars, false outer space nonsense, CGI, lousy, bad, terrible CGI videos of moon landings and weird shit. Then you got your a lot of satellite bullshit stories. Yeah, we're putting up 84 fucking satellites this year. It's going to cost the taxpayers $19 billion, but it's worth it because there's no fucking satellites. And there certainly are not 80-something of them. So what they do is all CGI shit. It's obvious. It's really laughable and ridiculous when you go watch the videos, but yet everybody looks at them and says, oh yeah, outer space aliens, I got it. Watching too many fucking television shows.
At london.gov.uk, and you can also email all of the other people that I'm going to put in the description. It's really important that we all respond to this. I'm sorry that this was a long video, but I think for many people, they'd rather have me sit and explain it than read it through themselves. It is really, really important stuff. This is next level stuff. When I did my digital ID video and I said this is really bad, I really believe we've got until about December 23rd this year, when the new digital ID thing will go through, before your digital ID...
No, not really. Because, see, at birth, you already took a social security number. Your parents gave you a name. Matter of fact, Richard did a nice video on explaining that, what we give up. We give up our rights. We simply are zombie slaves. If we want to no longer be zombie slaves, then we have to wake up and recognize and realize what happened and stop acting and pretending that we've been free all this time. And we want our freedom back, and we don't want to lose our freedom because we're looking at it the wrong way. There's a much, much bigger picture, and it's easier to see. I'm showing it to you. It's right here in front of you. You're looking at it right now.
Is connected to your modal access ability to travel card, which is connected to the DVLA, which is connected to your bank account, and that's it. That's the end of freedom of movement in this country. Finished by December 23rd this year. So please read the description, because by the time I've edited this video, hopefully I've worked out who you need to email and what you need to say, and I'll break all that down for you. You can download all of my notes as PDFs. Everything is in the description, and my code word for if you made it right to the end of the video is crikey, Jeff, I think they want to stop me seeing Granny.